The Northern Miner is at the mining investment event of the North in Quebec City. Joining me now is Maritime Resources President and CEO Garett Macdonald. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, let's start off by asking you to set it up for our viewers, so those perhaps not as familiar with the story. Where is your area of focus and what is your key asset?
So our area of focus with Maritime is gold production 2025. We are one of the few junior companies actually making the jump from exploration to development. We actually have been producing gold already from our Pine Cove mill in Newfoundland and Labrador, which is our 100% focus for the company in this province. Our key asset is the Hammerdown gold project, which was a historic mine, closed in about 2004, was built by Richmont. It was a very high-grade asset. We're going to turn this mine back on again. And we've been through permitting, we've been through feasibility, we have our own processing plant that is now running. We've been hiring people back to work to run that plant. And so the company is poised to be one of those few companies to make that jump into production and cash flow, and that's happening right now. So this is a mine that we're going to bring on this year.
All right, let's take a step back and let me ask you the backstory about the mine and the project. When did it last operate? As you said, why did it close? And what did you have to do to get to this position where you actually produced some gold last month?
Yeah, it's quite a good story. I mean, Hammerdown closed in 2004, largely due to low gold prices. So back then, gold was $280, $320 an ounce. It was a different time. This mine actually had a very high cutoff grade as well, over 8 grams per ton. It was a small underground cut and fill mine. So when it closed, it took several years and several attempts from different junior companies to bring it back to life. So when we came in as a new team about 5-6 years ago with some new investors, including Dundee, our largest shareholder, we started looking at ways to bring this mine back online using what's available locally. And what's available to us are processing plants, infrastructure needed to take your deposit and pour gold. So we've acquired 2 processing plants in the area, and they were idle assets that were available, and we were able to get them at very low prices, attractive for us. We took the project through permitting, through feasibility, exploration, all of the technical work, environmental work, to a point now where we have very high-grade open pit asset, permitted, ready to go to an existing processing plant that is now running. And we started the processing plant about 3 months ago with stockpile material that was existing around the mill. At these higher gold prices, it's actually interesting because this material may not have been, it was probably marginal, maybe at $1,500 an ounce, but at $3,300 an ounce, it's actually quite attractive. The big benefit for us, though, is it gets the mill back into operating, condition. We hire the workforce back, we get all of the bugs worked out for the main asset, which is Hammerdown, which we're planning to develop second half of this year.
Okay. How far is Hammerdown away from the mill?
It's about an hour, just over an hour drive. Paved highway most of the way, actually, almost all the way. We don't have to go through any communities, so it's kind of straightforward. And the big advantage for us is very low capital cost to do this plant. But in our district, the Green Bay district, where we are, is in the northern part of the island. So VMS copper deposits, Firefly Metals is an example. They're a very large, company that's exploring big VMS system, actually right beside our Pine Cove mill. So we're in VMS country. We're in, some gold-rich quartz veins that we have at Hammerdown. That situation where we've got fantastic potential for more of these types of assets and deposits. So Hammerdown for us is the first one that we want to get out of the gate, generating cash flow. As everybody knows, the capital markets for the last few years they haven't been great for junior companies. But we're going to have that unique ability to actually generate our own cash flow. Okay, so that's the difference. And we haven't had to, break our back either on capital costs. Yeah. And I'm talking 300, 400, 500 million for a new mine, which is quite common. This is clearly about a $20 million startup to get into cash flow very quick.
And so that financing component, how do you plan to fund that?
So we just actually closed the $20 million financing about 2 months ago. Yeah, so it's led by our largest shareholder, Dundee, and Eric Sprott joined as well. plus a number of other institutions. So we've got great institutional support, great shareholder support. We've got support from the local communities of the province. It's been a lot of fun. It's just, we're finally here. So our mission, our focus for this year is executing on this plan to develop the mine and start generating cash flow.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's dig a little bit deeper into that plan that you are mentioning. So once the Hammerdown mining starts, what's the plan really to scale production sustainably?
Exploration will be the driver behind that. We've got a very large land position with probably 450 square kilometers covering gold areas that we're very interested in, DMS copper as well. So we've got a little bit of everything on our property. We also have a second processing asset that I may have mentioned before. So people often have these hub and scope business models where you're hauling assets or deposits to a central mill. Well, we've got 2 mills. So we've got that opportunity to lend and move and materials around to these mills efficiently. There's opportunities for perhaps third-party feed as well, toll milling. Also a neat idea, another revenue stream that we're interested in. And so nothing but opportunity, and it's backed by some great infrastructure, the cash flow from the main asset that gets things started, and then the exploration upside is really where we got to go. So.
Yeah. And so just on a technical analysis level, are you currently working on any more reports for Hammerdown? Is there, what's the status of?
Yeah. So we had a feasibility study in 2022.
Okay.
Since then, several things have changed. Right. We bought a second plant that we're actually now operating. Gold prices have changed. Operating costs have changed. There's a few changes. We have to capture that in an updated technical report, which we're working on currently. And we'd like to be able to do that, later this year. But our focus right now is to get the mine up and ready, cash flowing, and we'll put all that together this fall.
Okay. And then I do still want to hit back on that exploration component. Can you tell me a little bit more about where you see the low-hanging fruit potential really to grow resources more?
There is several targets within even 100 meters of Hammerdown. Like, we just haven't had a lot of capital to spend on exploration over the years, just the way it's been. There's fantastic targets along strike, and Hammerdown is actually part of probably a 10 or 15 kilometer long folded kind of belt that we have available to us. Many targets for VMS and gold along that area, so copper and zinc plus also gold. We have targets as well right beside the mill. So there's a few things we can do. We can see targets beside the mine, so looking at ways to maybe expand the mine life, perhaps even expand throughput, right? The mill is expandable, of course. We have a very interesting tailing storage facility up at our mill. It's an old open pit mine that's been converted and permitted for now for tailings. So it's got a large capacity facility there, which is great. We have other targets around the mill as well. So what you'll find with the business model is there's many deposits that can feed into a central mill, and that's how we see it going. Of course, if we find something large and massive, then it may mean that we build our own mill someday down there, because that would be good. Haulage is expensive, but for now we're using that to get started. We do definitely want to explore, and if we do find something wonderful, then of course we'd look at our own processing plant closer to the deposit.
Yeah. All right. So just break down once more for me the key catalysts that will drive value for investors over the next 12 months or so.
Well, this is a re-rate story, right? So we are now at that point in the cycle, or at least in our life cycle, where we've gone from exploration through that kind of development phase, and now we're going to be building the mine and ramping up, hitting the cash flow. So the big catalyst there is re-rating the stock as a producer, graduating from developer to producer. So we're definitely going to be doing that, and I think as well, once we kick off exploration, you're going to have that parallel track of cash flow here, exploration along beside it. So, look, that'll open up a lot of opportunities for Maritime as well.
And then that feasibility update throughout. Yeah, that's all right. Is there perhaps anything else that we should mention that we have not touched on in this brief few minutes?
Maybe the jurisdiction, I think, is something that's important no matter what discussion you're having. You can have all the great mineral potential that you want, but if the jurisdiction is difficult to work in, that doesn't help. It's the opposite in our case. Newfoundland and Labrador has been a fantastic place to work for us, our team and shareholders. love it there. We plan to have, more projects, more exploration, more growth in this province. So they've been very supportive, local communities as well. And as well as the infrastructure that's available locally in Newfoundland and Labrador is fantastic. You might think of Newfoundland being remote, out there in the ocean, but no, we're in a mining district where we have our projects. So we have suppliers, skilled labor, infrastructure that you need to build these projects. We have all that. And it's, backed by a jurisdiction, a province that embraces mining and actually values it.
Yeah. All right. There you have it. That was Garett Macdonald, the President and CEO of Maritime Resources. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.